Hey y'all, Gramma Rose here. It is that time of year. We are all mostly to the end of our growing season. Not entirely. There's still a lot of vegetables on our plants that we're still harvesting. But some of us are at the end of the growing season and it's time to start collecting seeds for next year. So I have some catnip right here, one of my herbs, that needs to be cut down. It is totally ready. It is flowered for the most part. Some of the flowers are completely dead. Y'all, I have been cutting off flowers. Let me zoom out. I think I'm zoomed in too far. All the way there. Okay. And one reason I want to do these is I have heard most of my life that when you collect flower seeds, or most any kind of seeds, you should wait not just until the flower head itself is dried, but until the stem underneath it is dried also. But so many times I've tried to collect seeds from plants in the mint family, and I've had no success. And catnip is in the mint family, so this is a good opportunity for me to do that. Now I'm collecting seeds, or the flower head from stems that still have leaves on them, and I'm also collecting flower heads from stems that are completely dry. You can see this. Here's some more. Let me come over here, turn the camera over this way a little bit. You can see this. Right in here, these are completely dry. So I'm going to get some of these also. There's several of these in this area that are totally dry. Got a bunch of them. I'm going to have a full container when I go inside. I think that's enough for now. I still have a lot more, but I think this is enough just for what I want to do. So take this inside. Okay, y'all, look at this. Now here is the catnip that I just cut, trimmed. This container is really too small for it. So what I think I'm going to do is just put some paper down on the top of my table and then dump it out on the paper. That's going to work. You see the ridges in it. This is because this was rolled up so tightly. I'm near the end of the roll and it was rolling up a lot. So I'm just going to take these out. I see seeds already in the bottom of this container. Look at you see the seeds? There's seeds. So I'll show you something about this in just a second. So I'll make a pile. The dry ones on this side and the ones that still have green. See, like this one right here? That one, the stem is still green, but the flowers are dried at the top. So I'm going to put a pile of each. I'll have some that are like this with green on them, and another pile over here where they're all dry. And that'll take me just a couple of seconds, and I'll be back with you. I think there may be a few more on this pile. I may have been a little more overeager when I was collecting these than on this side. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these back over here in this bowl. Put these back in this container right there. Okay, I'm going to get these. Collect these seeds right here. Put this down because it's going to take two hands. Okay, so I've got those in this container. Now the ones that still have green leaves on them and green stems are in this container. Now I'm going to move these over here. Move these over to the same area. Just pick them up and I want you to look under them and see what we have. Look at that. Can you see the difference? This is pretty amazing. This is just where I had, where is it? Right in here, look at that. Seeds all over the place. Let's get all of these seeds out of the way. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take the seed pod right here. I'm just going to do that. What's in here? It's kind of breaks apart just in no time at all, just like that. When you rub it between your fingers, it just completely disintegrates, which is fine. No, that's not a problem. That's a good thing, actually. I continue to do this. You can see this. My hands were in the way while I was doing that. Not good. But here we go. Just I'm rubbing it between my fingers like that. Rubbing them between my fingers. Breaking off the dried flower heads, the dried pods. Do some more. I'll do this one. That one looks good. This one right over here looks good. Let me do that one. Whew. Can you hear them hitting the paper? Okay, so what I have here, it looks like I have 4 flower heads essentially. Right here. And it's all right here on the paper. I'll do some more with this in a minute. So what I think I need to do is, I need a bowl. Okay, I have 2 containers that are just alike. This is, it's a little shallow dish. So what I'm going to do is just take this here off to the edge of the table. Let me see where that is. I'm just going to scrape this into this bowl like that. Okay, just like that into the bowl. Now I've got this right here, and I'm going to do the same thing with these flower heads that have the green leaves attached to it. And we're going to see which one had the most seeds that came out of it. And take, here's 1, here's 2, 3, and get another small one. Let's say that, 4. Those 4 have still green leaves attached to them. You see that? Now, instead of putting it on the paper, I'm just going to break that up directly into this bowl. That'll be easier. So, crumble these up. It's not looking too bad. Look at that. We're getting seeds out of it. So that's okay. Now all of these, they're still green in here. Here we go. There's one. So we have these 4. Look at that. At the end, what I'm going to do is we're going to separate these little seeds from the chaff, essentially. It's not actually called chaff, but we'll call it chaff. And I'll show you how I'm going to do it because it's really easy. So here's the one that had the green. Let me put that back in there. And I'm going to go get something and I'll show you. This is so easy. Okay, y'all. I have 2 things I want to show you. I have been rummaging through my cabinets, and I have this strainer. It's a mesh strainer. It's got a bigger mesh in it than a tea strainer. See that? And I have a mesh colander. That colander has even bigger mesh. And these would work. You get the idea. I'm going to pour all the seeds plus all of the dry matter into the larger one, and then put the smaller one underneath it. And we'll catch big stuff in one and smaller stuff in the other. And hopefully the seeds are small enough to go through to the bottom. But I'm not going to use these. I'll show you what I'm going to use instead. But most everybody has something like this, right? But anyway, I wanted to show these 2 things just comparing the size of the mesh, that and that, you can see it right next to each other, that one is larger than the other. Now, I have two different sink strainers. I have this sink strainer on one side, this sink strainer on another side. They're two different manufacturers. Same size. Both of them fit into my sink, but one of them has a larger mesh than the other one. You see that? So it's going to be a lot easier to use those than the big strainer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one with the larger mesh inside the one with the smaller mesh, just like that. Nest them together. So what I'm going to do here, I've got a plate, it's a white plate. I'm going to put this down on the plate, and I'm going to pour these seeds right here. This is the one from the ones that still had the green, right? Take that out. There's the green leaves on this one. I'm going to pour this through here, pour it into there. Still have some dusty stuff on there. And what happens? I don't want to forget any of these seeds that are stuck in here. Get all these seeds out. That counts. Now, I'm going to take these two. I'm going to shake that one. Shake, 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 shake. Tap it. See what I'm doing? It's kind of like sifting flour. And if there were some seeds in there, then we've lost them. But if we lost some in here, we're probably going to lose some of the other one in here. So let's see what we've got. Now what we have is seeds, and just a little bit of dry stuff. See that? Let me see if I can zoom in and let you see a little bit better on that. There you go. See that? Oops. See? What happens if you blow on it? See what happens when you blow on it? The heavier things stay on the plate. And the lighter things blow off. You've heard of winnowing wheat? You take it outside and pour it from one plate to another plate, or a paper plate to another plate, a paper bag to another paper bag, and blow through it as you're pouring it. And you'll end up blowing away all of the powdery stuff and end up with just seeds. So let me zoom back out again, because we're going to do this again with the other. Oops, wrong way. Zoom all the way back out. Now these are the seeds that we collected from the dry. Or not from the dry, but from the stuff that still had green. And pour these back in here. And see me tapping? Tapping, pretty much the seeds went in first, and there's a few seeds. Let me get those. Don't want to lose any of those. There's one back in there. Okay, and then this stuff's kind of stuck to it. Get rid of that. We don't need that anyway. So here are the seeds that came out of the same number of flower clusters. We had 4 of each one, right? So there's the ones that came out of the flower clusters that were still wet, or not still wet, but hadn't completely dried up. Now we're going to do the same thing. These are the ones that we had from the completely dry flower clusters, where the stem was dry. Do the same thing. look at this. What do we have here? One thing we have is a whole lot more of that dried material. There is a difference in the amount of material that we have, but is there a difference in the amount of seeds that we have? What we really need is another sifter that's going to be different. One thing you can do is actually you can just kind of tap on this and the seeds will roll. Let me blow. I don't want to blow any seeds away. Get all this stuff that's out of the way. Knock that off. Continue blowing on it. If you blow too hard, you're going to blow the seeds because the seeds are not that heavy. See that? The seeds are rolling. So I can, after the seeds roll off to the bottom, I can just take that up there and just knock that off. And continue doing the same thing. I'm going to turn this around this way and tap on the seeds, and the seeds should roll down to the bottom. Here we go. Here we go. So let's see. Which one has more seeds in it? We started off with the same approximate. I didn't weigh it out, but then you couldn't weigh it out because one had more water in it than the other. They wouldn't weigh the same thing. So here we go. Let me dump this out. A couple of seeds in there. Get those seeds. Okay, dump that out there, like we did before, and put that back in this bowl. And we're going to compare. Now here I'm going to put this side that had the dry seeds on the left side, and I'm going to put the one that had the wet seeds on the right side. So we'll know the left is the dry, the right is the wet, comparatively wet. The stems had not completely dried. So the dry on the left, the not quite so dry on the right. Which one has more seeds? You know, it looks pretty much the same to me. What do you think? Tap that down like that. Tap that down like that. Two. You know, the one on the left may have a few more. How many is a few? How many do you need to save? Yeah, I have just finished pouring the rest of these flowers that we had cut off into this colander. And one thing I wanted to show you, the difference between the green stems like this, when you knock them off, there's a good chance that there's still going to be seeds left inside. If these inflorescences, if the flower heads are not really dry. In fact, let me take these out. Just knock these out just a little bit. I'm just going to put these off to the side. I'll put this back in here in a second. But what I wanted to show you, see that? See what's left in there. These are like the seed heads, and there would be seeds inside of here. Now, if these aren't totally, completely dry, you don't know that you haven't left seeds behind in these flower heads that you're catching in your colander. The best thing is to wait for them to completely 100% dry. You've got a better chance of collecting more of them. One thing that you can do, and I know people do, is they collect them at this point like this. Like so. They bring them in, they put them in a brown paper bag or whatever, and then they let it finish drying. And that works. That is probably the best thing to do if you're concerned about losing the seeds, and if you don't have very many and you want to be sure that you get all of them. And there you go. That is how to collect very small seeds. This is catnip seeds. But the same thing would go for any kind of seed that's very, very small like this.